Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Papa's Workshop. Well, as you can see, this is a little bit different format. First, we're going live, and this is the first time that I've gone live in several years. And the other thing is, we're using different equipment. You notice where I am? I'm actually in my office upstairs, and we're going to be doing the live feed from this location. Now, just so you know, I'm using a new microphone. I am using the camera that's actually connected to the computer, and we're doing split screens and all kind of crazy things that I have not done before. So this is going to be a learning exercise. So hopefully you'll be able to let me know in the comments below just how this presentation looks and if you like this type of a format. What I'm going to be doing today is actually going through and showing you exactly how to carve the stars using the VCarve Pro to be able to create that perfect union to be able to make your flags. Now, this is a question that I've had quite a bit, and I want to be able to show you exactly how to do it. So first thing I want to do, let's switch over, and I want to be able to open up the VCarve Pro for you. And to be able to do that, we're going to create a brand new file. Now, the size of the union that I want to use is actually going to be 13 by 10 and a half. And I already have that in the computer. And the thickness of the material is 0.75 of an inch. And of course, it is single-sided material. And we're going to do our Z position off of the material surface. Bottom left-hand corner is what we're going to use to be able to do the XY position, and then everything else will be fine. We'll just click the OK. Now, of course, we're going to need the stars, and this is the first thing that people run into a problem with. So what I want to do is start out with a larger star to be able to just show you what I want to be able to do with this. But I do need to have a 5-point star, and I want to be able to, let's just make it 2 inches to begin with so it's nice and big and you can see it. And we'll close this out. Now over here is the actual star. What you're looking for is a 5-point star with all nice sharp points on it. And you want this line to be straight across. So if I put in a guideline, for an example, let's just drag one down, you can see that that alignment is absolutely perfect, and that's what you want. But how did I get to that point? Let me go back into this star, and let's show you some of the different things. Of course, the first thing we did, we set this up as the 5-point. Don't care about the location right now, but this is the key element right here, because this gives you that inter radius, and that is what establishes. So for an example, if I lower this number and hit apply, look how this star dips down. And that's something you don't want. See how it dips down? I think you could see it better if it was black. So I want to dip it. Now let's go back and do the same thing. We'll highlight this star. Well, I don't want to create a new one. Well, let's close this out, hit Control Z. We'll get rid of that. Let's highlight the star to begin with and do it the right way. Now, if we increase this number, let's go up to 40, 45, and hit apply. And you notice how this star becomes a fat star. And again, that's not the kind of star that you want. What I have found in the VCarve Pro is to be able to use this number 38, and that works extremely well to give me a nice, flat, perfect star that I'm looking for. Now, the next thing is we need to create the size. I already said the union is going to be 13 by 10 and a half. And that's for the flag that I use when I'm making a flag that's going to be 19 and a half by 37 is the overall length of the flag. Now, for the gurus out there that want to look up the exact measurements of the flag and see if it's in proportion, you're going to find that it's not in perfect proportion. And I don't care. This is the type of flag that I like. I think it looks really good. And so that's how I do it. The union is going to be 13 inches by 10.5 inches. Now the star that I'm going to use, we need to change this measurement down to 0.5 of an inch, and that's the actual radius. So we'll put that in and we'll hit apply. And we'll close that out. Because really, one star is all we're going to need. Now what I can do at this point is just move it up here into this area. But then it makes it a little bit difficult for you guys to be able to align everything. So what I want to be able to do is set up this guideline right here. And I'm going to right click on that. And I'm going to set this as a new position. I want the position to be 9.6682. And we'll hit apply. And we'll close that. Now, from what I've seen so far, you guys cannot see the little drop-down windows that I use, and that's unfortunate. I'm going to have to figure out how to be able to get around that. But at this point, that's where that star needs to be. So I'm going to click on that, and we'll just slide it up onto that position right there. And that's close enough for right now, and I'll show you why here in a moment. The next thing I want to do is highlight this star, and I'm going to come down to the array tool. And again, this is where we're going to set everything up. The first row that I need, of course, is to have 6 stars. So I'll set that up with the 6. And I'm only going to do the one row on the y-axis. I do want to have a spacing of 1.2 inches between the stars. So I'll just hit copy. And that gives me my 6 stars going across, and we'll close that out. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and center these stars. Let's do this. Let's highlight all of them. I'm going to come over to the alignment tool, and I'm just going to select this where it moves it left and right. And you see it move just a little bit, not much, but a little bit. So there's this first row of stars. Now the next thing I want to do, just to be able to give you a little bit easier way to do this, is I'm going to set up a second guideline. We'll drop that guideline in here, and I want to be able to set up the exact spacing, and I'm going to put this at 8.5575. And we'll hit apply, and we'll close that. Now this is actually not 100% required, but it does make it a lot easier for you guys. So now I'm going to take one star, and I'm going to hit Control C and Control V, and I'll drag that star down. Now where do I want this star? I really want it right between these two, and I want it on my guideline. But I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. We'll use this star right now because it's close to being in the right position, and that's all right. Because what I'm going to do is highlight it, and we're going to close this out. And I'm going to go back over here to the array tool. And the only thing we're going to change this time, I want to be able to have 5 stars in the row. So now everything else stays the same, and we hit the apply or copy in this case, and then we'll close this out. With all these stars highlighted, I'll want to come back to the alignment tool, and we'll shift it again, and you can see the stars move just a little bit, and they're all on the guidelines that I had set up. So the guidelines actually are no longer necessary. So I can just delete the guideline, highlight this one, and I wish you could see the little drop-down menu. But now I'm going to take these stars, and I'm going to hit Control C and Control V. And then I'll just take and slide them down. And it's going to drop right in place. That's going to look real good. And then I'm going to hit Control V again, and I'm going to bring the next set down. And we're going to need to do that one more time. Control V. And we'll grab it and pull these stars down to right into this area. And then I need one last row of stars. And we'll take this, hit Control C and Control V, and bring those down and put those right there at the bottom. Yep, don't need that. All right. At this point, you can see the spacing just a little bit off. I like this spacing, but I need to be able to close the gap just a little bit on this second row. Now I can use the guidelines to do that, but I can also use Control and the up arrow and bring those up just a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing with the next set that I had and hit Control and the up arrow just a little bit. And then we'll do the last thing with these two. That looks real good. And then the bottom row, I'm going to close the gap just a little bit more. Actually, I think that's going to be good because now I can highlight everything, group them together. Let's close this out, group it together with this tab right here. And then I'm going to go to the alignment tool and center to the material. And that puts all the stars exactly where it needs to be. And I hope you can see that well in the picture. The spacing on this looks pretty good. If this spacing is a little bit too close for you, then you can actually make the adjustment and close it in a little bit more. But I think I'm going to leave it just as it is for now. So we'll close this out. And that shows you just how easy it is to be able to set up these stars and to be able to have the whole entire field done in just literally a few minutes. Now, I want to switch over and I want to talk about one thing first. If you're using a piece of 3/4 inch solid material, you may have that material made cup or bow just a little bit. Excuse me. What I suggest doing is being able to surface that material first on the CNC machine. That way you know it's perfectly flat. And to do that, I always use the glue and tape method to be able to hold the material down. I can use the planing bit to be able to surface that, and that surface bit does a wonderful job. And then from there, then we can set up the toolpath for the different stars. So let's go over to the toolpath menu, and I want to be able to select the VCarve. Now, to do this, some people will use a 90-degree V-bit, others will use a 60-degree V-bit. I personally like to use the 90-degree V-bit. So from the standpoint of the starting at the top and working down, the start depth is going to be on the surface of this material, and I'm not going to do a flat depth. I want the bottom of that star to be right at a point. Now the V-bit 90-degree is already in here, so that's done. So we can scroll down, and I really don't need to worry about anything else. The last thing, if you want to be able to change the name to whatever you wish, and then I'm going to calculate. And that is the stars all done. Now what I want to be able to do is preview this, preview the selected toolpath, and let's zoom in. You can see how these stars go all the way down and form that perfect point. That's what you're looking for. Now these stars will carve exactly like this with all sharp points if you surface the bit first. Excuse me, surface the material first, not the bit. Excuse me on that. But if that is a complete flat surface of the material, these stars are going to carve correctly. The biggest question that I get over and over, why are some of the stars, let's say in this area, perfect, and then you come down into this area and the tips are rounded and it's just not a perfect star, or they're larger or smaller. So think about it. If the star is smaller, that means it's very slightly further away from that bit as it's carving it. Likewise, if these stars become a little bit bigger, then think about it. That bit's actually going down into the wood a little bit deeper, and it's going to be carving that star bigger, and it's going to give rounded tips. Okay. So a comment from FMD. Just wanted to stop by and say I love your channel and your work you do. I hope you have a great day. Well, same to you. I hope you have a great day. And by the way, if you can, take a look and tell me how the VCarve Pro looks while I'm doing this live stream. So let's see here. We got another person that's hopped on and said hello and good afternoon, and from Odessa, Texas. That's awesome. And then the question, would a surface planer be faster running rather than running the surface bit? Well, yes and no. If you have a surface planer, you can plane it, but you need to make sure that both sides of the material are going to be completely parallel, because when you use the glue and tape method, or you put the project board onto the waste board, if there's any variations underneath on the bottom of that board, that's going to transfer to the top. So if it's a little bit, not quite level, then guess what? The surface of your material is not going to be level, even though it may be perfectly flat. And that's what causes a lot of questions, because people will say, well, it was planed, it was perfectly flat, but the stars are different shapes and different depths. And the reason being, it's not completely perpendicular to the spindle itself. So that would be the answer to that question. So keep that thought in mind when you're doing this. I certainly recommend using a surfacing bit to begin with, and just set up a tool path to be able to cover the whole entire thing. And with the glue and tape method, you don't have to worry about clamps. So this is how you'd be able to do it. Now from here, you can close this out, and then we can come over to this icon right here. And this is where we can actually save the toolpath. And you can see right there, VCarve, and that would be the toolpath to be able to cut this out. All right, now I want to come over here, and just to show you what would happen if we don't have the stars highlighted. Let's go back and let's go over. I'm going to go over here to make it as easy as I can for you. We're going to go back into the 2D view. Whoops, I forgot to turn off the toolpaths. So let's turn off the toolpaths for a moment. And I want to go back over here just to be able to answer your question. I'm going to take all of these stars and let's get them out of the way. Let's slide that up and out of the way. So now there's nothing there, okay? So this is a little bit of an extra step, but keep this in mind. If I come over now and create a pocket toolpath, well, what do I need? I need a pocket toolpath that's going to cover this entire board, don't I? Okay, and if you actually cover it a little bit more, even better. So if we come over here to the design, and let's just set up a rectangle, and let's just go on the outside of this, just like this. We'll close this out, we'll center it, we'll align it to the material, and now you can see there is going to be the tool path. Okay, oversize it, that way you know it's going to cut everything. Now let's go over, and I am going to start at a 0 start depth. We're only going to cut down a small bit. And if it's already relatively flat, then good. So I'm just going to go down, let's just go down about, let's say 0.16, something like that. Very, very shallow. Okay. Now what I suggest doing is taking a pencil and rubbing it all over this board. Just make some wavy lines across there. And that way, when you come down and actually carve it, you'll see if there's any places left. Now, as far as the bit, we do need to change the bit. So let's select a new bit, and I have a surfacing bit that's 1 1/8 inch. I'm going to use that, and we don't need this 1/16 of an end mill. We'll remove that one. This is all we need, and then we'll come down and we'll calculate that. I want to reset and preview just the selected toolpath, and that's what you're going to see. It's going to slow it down for you. I'm going to slow this down just a little bit, and let's hit reset. And you can see how it's going to do and surface that where it's completely flat. We got a couple other comments. I think it would be better if you reduce a little of your picture in picture. Okay, well, we can do that. We'll just come down here. How's that? Does that look better to you? Okay, and then here, let's see. Ice Cream 62 says you are covering a lot of things you are doing. Okay. All right. So that's how you surface it. And once you have that surfaced, then you can come back and put in those stars and be able to carve it. So kind of a little bit of a reverse order there, because you want to surface this first, obviously, but I think it's important to be able to not run it through a planer, but go through the actual surfacing bit. Now keep this in mind. There's a lot of people out there that will make the union to the flags out of the slats themselves. Now that is going to cause some very definite irregular surface. So in that case, I would suggest definitely surfacing that area, at least the union, to make sure that it's flat before putting those stars back in there. So are there any other questions that you guys have? By all means, leave me a comment down in the comment section below. And I hope that this video was actually helpful. I know it's fairly short, but it was designed to do two things today. One, test out a live stream with some brand new equipment, or some new methods, I'm better off to say, because I'm using the same iPhone that I shoot all my videos with. It's just connected to the computer. And of course, I'm using the laptop to be able to do this. And I have a microphone that I had actually sitting on the desk for quite a while, but hadn't used it. So in essence, it's a brand new microphone. So I'm hoping everything's working out real well. And I think this will be an improvement for you guys to be able to see when I'm designing different projects in the VCarve Pro. And if it is, by all means, give me a thumbs up. And hopefully you'll subscribe to the channel, because I plan to use this format a lot more in the future to be able to give you a better overall view of how the design works, rather than trying to stick a camera in front of a computer screen. That's just not working out real well. It causes too much confusion, and oftentimes it leaves out a lot of the details because you just can't see it. Now, the only problem that I'm having that I'm going to have to figure out a workaround for is the different drop-down menus are not showing up. So I apologize for that. So again, I hope you like this format. And if you did, again, give me a thumbs up, subscribe right down there below, and I'll see you on the next one. So bye-bye, everyone.